Good afternoon, everybody. Christine Barconi here in the NBC4i Streaming Center. Right now, head coach Ryan Day is giving a press conference ahead of the national championship game.
Unbelievable opponent with such a great history. So much respect for them, what they've been able to do, Coach Saban, his staff. And those teams very, very excited to have this opportunity. This is something that, we talked about early on. And then when the season was canceled, we talked about the opportunity to get back for an opportunity to play in this very game. And here we are. So already started with a great week of preparation and continue that preparation this week as we head down to Miami.
Yeah, thank you. First up, we'll hear from Ralph Russo. Ralph?
Hey, Ryan. Very, very fast one. You guys are still on target to play Monday, correct?
Correct.
Okay, a broader question. When Urban first brought you in, what was he looking for as far as changes in the offense, and what did you envision the changes that you could bring to this offense?
We didn't really get into specifics on what was looking to be changed. I think he just felt like, there needed to be a change. And we spent a lot of time talking about what really, the offense was and where he saw it going. So many things that were in the offense already, and just how can we use those things. And we really kept it the same. We really didn't change much in terms of the terminology, the formations, anything like that. And we just spent most of our time trying to figure out how to best utilize the players we had and continue to recruit at a high level. And so, between he, Kevin Wilson, myself, Coach Dodd, we just all sat down and tried to figure out what was right for that next season. We had JT, and then it changed. We had Dwayne, and now Justin. And so each year it's changed, tweaked here and there. But at the end of the day, I think the basis of it has pretty much stayed the same.
All right. Next, we'll hear from Bill Rabinowitz. Bill? Bill, are you there? Okay. Let's try Nathan Baird. Nathan?
Hey, Ryan. Sorry about that. Obviously, you guys have been dealing with the COVID issues pretty constantly for the last 6 weeks as far as having to miss guys. But coming off of a big win like the Sugar Bowl and then having to deal with new cases this week, how is that not sort of like a mental gut punch for the program? Or is it something that players and coaches are kind of just steeled to at this point and better able to deal with?
Well, anytime you deal with that and you lose people, it is a gut punch. But it's not something that we're not used to. We played games with majority of our offensive line out. We played the Big Ten championship game without our top receivers, or some of our top receivers. We've had starters all over the place down different times, and we found ways to work through it. It's just been the way it is, and you can feel sorry for yourself, or you can just continue to work on and push through it. The hard thing is, at the end of the day, most people don't really care. They just watch the game, and the result is the result. But for us, that's why the story about this season is just so amazing to me, is that we just continue to push through despite all these difficult challenges along the way. And no different this week. We got a new set of challenges this week. We're gonna have to figure it out and go down to Miami and play.
Next, we'll hear from Lane Higgins. Lane?
Hi, Coach Day. Wanted to see if you had an update for us on the status of Justin Fields, and kind of as a follow-up to that, even if he is healthy enough to play, would you consider tailoring the offense, perhaps limiting designed quarterback runs at all to account for where Justin is at?
Yeah, no real update. Don't really give up injury updates. And then, we'll do, what we think is best in the game, based on our opponent, based on our personnel and where we're at during the game. That's kind of what we've done for every game that we've been in. And so we'll continue to do that this week.
All right. Next, we'll hear from Austin Ward. Austin?
Ryan, yesterday Kerry was talking about how actually rewarding this season has been. I was asking about the uncertainty of a roster every week and working new guys in and having to really burn through different solutions. Is rewarding the word that you would use as the head coach, or what has this been like with dealing with those challenges every week?
I think it's just the way that this has gone. The minute you want to feel good and take a deep breath and count your blessings and, like you said, feel the reward of what we've done. Something new comes at you and you just got to handle it. So I know this: the finish line's coming on Monday, and we got to finish this thing strong, no matter what comes our way, what has come our way. We've handled it. We got to continue to do that, and that's really what it is. And to say it's easy, no. To sit back and say that we can, pat ourselves on the back or feel good about what's gone on. No. We gotta finish this thing off on Monday, and then when the season's over, we'll go back and think about all the great things that have happened this year, because there's a lot of them.
All right, next is Adam Rittenberg. Adam?
Ryan, I know you've been an advocate for mental health even before the pandemic started. And you guys have also been very open about how stressful this season has been. Just curious, how much have you had to kind of check in with guys just from a mental standpoint along the way, whether it was the season being postponed, reinstated, COVID, playing this week, not playing this week, that process for such a long period of time for this group of guys given their age?
Something we talk about a lot. Our position coaches, really keep a close eye on it. When we communicate with our parents, we're constantly talking about it, and it hasn't been easy. I think the hardest part was probably going through the holidays, not being around their families, and then the constant change, like you're saying, lack of routine, change of course here and there, and then the uncertainty. So it's something that has been difficult. I'll say this though, I think, and I've said this before, I think going through this time has made our guys stronger mentally. They've been able to sustain, through a lot of tough times and adversity. And so that's been one of the silver linings here. But it's something we really keep a close eye on and try to do everything we can to provide the resources that guys want.
All right, next is Dennis Dodd. Dennis?
Ryan, Pat Fitzgerald and Mike Hankwitz are so good. Was that more about them going against your offense in that championship game, or was it more about the offense not functioning as well, or a combination of both?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. They do a great job, always have. And, I think we were also really weren't clicking that day. It doesn't take much to be off. We say that all the time. So I think it was a combination of things.
All right. David Hale. David?
Hey, Ryan, thanks for doing this. You and Justin have, I think, a very strong relationship, and having talked to him, I know he's kind of a very close with his dad, very much a small town guy, and yet he committed to Ohio State without having actually gone to campus first. I'm wondering what has sort of made your relationship work with him so much. Do you consider it sort of a unique bond for yourself as well? And how much do you think that has played into the level of effort and dedication that he's shown to the program throughout this really tumultuous year?
First off, it says I'm unstable. Am I good? Am I good on this? Yeah. It started off right from the get-go when, Justin and I started our relationship and tried to be upfront and honest with him. He was going to have to come in here and earn a spot. It was going to take hard work. That what being the quarterback at Ohio State meant, and then we just went to work. And Mike Yursich early on, that first year, spent a lot of time with him. I spent some time with him, especially on the field. And then in the off season this year, spent a ton of time with him, and have spent some time with him certainly this year, a lot of time this fall. And when you go through things together, your relationship gets stronger. And we went through a lot of great times last year. You go through that Clemson game, and you just learn about each other. Your relationship gets stronger when you go through tough times. You find out about each other. And then the off season and fighting for a season and speaking up and his leadership and all those things. And then as we got into this season, you know, a lot of the stuff we worked on during the season, Coach Dennis and he worked on, it all kind of worked together early on. And then we went through a couple tough games where it didn't really click the way we wanted to. And then to see him play the way he did and overcome a little adversity in this past game is what it's all about. And that's what life is all about. And I think he knows how much I care for him, and I'm always there for him and try to help him the best I can. And that's part of it too. I mean, it's one thing to care about somebody. It's another thing to be able to help them. And I think that, you know, he knows that I'm here to help him, and I can find ways to help him here and there. And I think that there's a trust there. And there's obviously an unbelievable respect for what I have for him as a competitor and as a person.
All right. Next is Bill Rabinowitz. Bill?
Can you hear me this time, Ryan?
I can.
All right, good. You're in the national championship game and only your second full year as coach. With all you've had to deal with this year, I'm sure that's not really on forefront of your mind. But can you put into words what it's like for you to be at this point and what it would mean to win it, especially when you're going against somebody like Nick Saban?
I appreciate those words, Bill. I don't. I think you probably know me now. I'm probably not going to get into that right now, just because, you know, we're in the moment, and all that really matters is preparing for this game. I think when you start to take a step back, you get distracted, and every minute of the day, I tell the players, should be spent on Alabama. That's it. If you're spending your time thinking about anything else, tickets, you know, travel, family, this, that, what's going on after, what went on last week, it's a distraction towards focusing on this game. Because this is what matters. Certainly very, very honored to be in this situation. Don't get me wrong. And it's really about the players. The fact that these guys have an opportunity now to go play in this game and do something that would just be amazing. So that's really it, just focusing on the game. And I think, you know, hopefully after this game, we're able to take a deep breath. I hope, anyways. I feel like during these past, you know, 2 years and even a little bit more, I just haven't been able to take a deep breath. It just, I felt maybe after last year, you know, into March, I was able to, and then the quarantine hit, and then it just became chaos again. So looking forward to finishing this thing the right way, and then taking a deep breath and decompressing and trying to reflect on what just happened this year.
Next is Michael Casagrande. Michael?
Yeah, just wondering, how many players do you guys have available for the game?
How many do we have available? I don't know the number on that. I have to check.
But you're confident that you'll have the full number required to play in the game?
Yeah, we'll have plenty of players.
Next up is Sam Kahn. Sam?
Hey, Ryan. Earlier this year, Nick Saban had said that he doesn't believe that good defense beats good offense anymore as it relates to the way college football has gone. I'm curious what your sentiment is on that, and what good defense is now required to win a championship in this age of college football.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think it has changed. You know, fundamentally, it hasn't changed, but just the way the game's being played has. And it's all about getting stops. You know, I mean, it isn't really about how many yards you give up. I think controlling the game does matter. But at the end of the day, it's about getting stops, forcing field goals, and getting turnovers. You know, you can let them drive the entire length of the field, but if they kick field goals or you get turnovers along the way, good things are going to happen. So I think that really is where it's at. And, you know, it depends on how strong your offense is. And I think both sides have to play off of each other. I think that's really, really important. One good thing about, you know, being so involved in the offense is that you kind of understand as the head coach that, you know, it takes both sides in all three phases to you know, mesh together for it to work. And you can't work in three different silos. And I think that's a big part of it as well. So, you know, when you tie the two sides in together with special teams, then I think you can put together a good plan. But to answer your question, I think nowadays it's not about how many yards you give up. It's just literally how many stops can you get, whether by turnovers or forcing field goals.
Next, we'll hear from Bill Landis. Bill? Bill, you need to unmute your mic.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Part of this feels a little similar to the 2014 season Ohio State had, where in that year, getting the semifinal and playing Alabama seemed like such a target, and then they accomplished it and sort of had to recalibrate to play the national title game. And I think on some level, maybe Clemson was a target for you guys. Maybe you disagree with that, but to have such an emotional win against a team that, you know, you played a tough game against last year, you had been thinking about a lot, and then turning around and having to play this, like, is there any difficulty in, I don't know, ratcheting up the same kind of emotion again?
I mean, anytime you play somebody like Alabama for a national championship, it's going to be a challenge. And, you know, it was an emotional game. It was an emotional win, but nobody said they wanted to come back to just play in this game. They came back to win it. So, you know, I think our guys have the eyes on the prize, and it's a slow build, you know, towards the game. But I think we're going to come out with our hair on fire and play as hard as we possibly can and go from there, you know. And I think the thing we got to take it one play at a time. You can't go on and try to do too much against a great team like this. You have to just play one play at a time. On defense, you get one stop at a time. On offense, you get one first down at a time. You just focus on that. You look up in the fourth quarter, you see where you're at. But I know our guys are going to play really, really hard.
Next is Barry Trammell. Barry?
Yeah, Ryan. I'm from the Oklahoman. I was at the game in Columbus in 2017. That was sort of Trey Sermon's coming out party. He had a true freshman, had a really good game. Do you remember, you're on the other side of the ball in terms of preparation. Do you remember much about his game against the Buckeyes in 2017? And did you know how good he was until you actually got him on campus?
I remember some of them, and then I watched a little bit of that game, and you know, certainly when he had an opportunity to transfer, and had a great conversation with Coach Riley, and you know, he had nothing but great things to say about Trey, and it just seemed like the right fit here. And the thing that's, again, I just go back to is that it didn't all come at once for Trey. You know, he worked really hard early on, but didn't have the preseason and the lead up and the non-conference games. And so, and he was kind of splitting time with Master. And then but he never came into my office, never said a word, just kept working. And then when his opportunity came to be the guy, he took it and ran. And what an amazing story, you know, especially young man. You know, we'll see what happens, but no, to say I knew he'd be doing this right now, no. This has been a pleasant surprise, but couldn't happen to a better guy. He's done a great job in a short period of time. The players in his team really appreciate who he is, and happy for
him. Next is Billy Woods. Billy.
Yeah, Ryan. When Justin got hurt against Clemson, and there's, you know, the decision of whether to put him back into the game and the injection that or two that he seems to have gotten. What are the discussions that take place, the coaches, the medical people about, I guess, whether he can, when he goes back into the game, how well he can protect himself? What are the, what the questions of, possible further injury? And, because this is somebody who seemingly has a pretty lucrative future in front of him. So I guess how are those things kind of, balanced and played out?
I mean, Justin isn't treated any differently than any other student athlete. Our medical people are the best in the country at what they do. They identify what's going on. They communicate with the player, and they diagnose what happened and then make the decision on whether he's able to go back in the game. And that's what happened here. And obviously they use the feedback of the player too. And what an unbelievable competitor Justin is. I mean, just never forget that night. He's just tough. And people forget that, what happened in the Team Up North game when he took that shot in the knee. One play came out, he went back in. One play later, and threw a touchdown pass, scrambling to his left to Garrett Wilson in the back of the end zone. I mean, that was like, whoa. And then this was another one. So then see him come back after that hit and throw 4 touchdown passes, throw the ball 65 yards down the field. I mean, unbelievable.
Are there things that you look at though with, just of making a determination of whether he can protect himself? I don't think anybody questions his competitiveness and interest in being out there, but just as far as, whether he can, protect himself, the way, he can move around at all, et cetera.
I mean, yeah, that's up to our medical people, and it's the same thing we do for every game.
We have time for one more. Stephen Means. Stephen?
Hey, Ryan, just back on Trey a little bit. He is a guy who transferred in here at a time when he didn't necessarily transfer like Justin did, where he kind of had an off season to really get to know a lot of these guys and do the stuff you would do if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic. So saying that, when did you see him start to get comfortable around this? And how did that maybe translate onto the field?
Yeah, probably the Michigan State game, and then into the but he popped a few runs there. Okay, that was good. But then the Big Ten championship game was when he just really took off. I mean, it just as early as that. I mean, it was probably the second half is when I really realized what was going on. He was running hard, but then it just kind of went to a second level, and then he played great last week.
Great. Thank you very much, Coach. Look forward to seeing you in Miami.
Okay, thanks.
Joining us next will be tight end Luke Farrell. All right, Luke, you there?
What's up?
You all set?
Yep.
You want to, I think you can take your mask off while you're on here, if you'd like.
All right.
Great, thanks. We've got a few folks lined up here to ask us questions. Hold on just a second, we'll get them going. So first question will be from John Zenor. John?
Yeah, hey, thanks for taking some time for us. Could you talk about what you see out of Dylan Moses, number 32? He's kind of the play caller and everything. Has a lot of roles on their defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're really well coached, and he's really smart with the adjustments they make on the field. And I know he plays really hard. He's not afraid to come, put his face in there and hit you. So, from both those aspects, I think he does a really good job.
Next up is Brendan Gullick. Brendan?
Hi, Luke. How are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Hey, what have you learned about playing in championship settings or championship moments that maybe you've taken from earlier in your career that you think you can apply to your individual game here this weekend?
I would say, from our past experience with the Big Ten championship and being in that game last year, it's just like you have to have that mindset that like this is your last game, and I guess in this situation it will be, but you can't be afraid to die out there, and you gotta put everything and more into it in every play, and try to execute as well as you can. So I would say that mindset is really important.
All right. Next is Austin Ward. Austin?
Luke, we know that from asking you guys 1,000 times that you and Jeremy don't care necessarily if you're heavily involved in the passing game every week, but certainly it was a bonus in the Sugar Bowl. Did you guys know going into it that was probably going to be the case, or is that still just a matter of getting into it and seeing what happens?
No, that's really just how the game plan works out. I mean, as the game goes along, I mean, you get your opportunities in practice, and then just whether it's going to work out coverage-wise, where you're at in the game, what gets called. So, I mean, we couldn't be happier. I mean, I don't know what more we would want, dominating the blocking game, 3 touchdowns for the tight end unit. So it was great.
Next is Zachary Braziller. Zach?
When you look back to the Sugar Bowl and Justin's performance, what are you going to remember the most? You know, is there something that kind of is going to stick with you as you remember that performance?
I mean, it just perfect example of how tough that guy is. I mean, you take a hit like that and come back, I mean, pretty much right away and make some of the throws he made. It's just like, you just stand there in awe of like the toughness and his ability to execute after taking a hit like that, and just the leadership it shows. It gets the rest of your offense and the rest of your team going when you see a guy do something like that. So yeah, just incredible toughness and you know, super gutsy.
Next is Dan Hope. Dan?
Hey, Luke. Being a guy who's a senior, just how special is this for you to have this opportunity to culminate your career by playing in a national championship game?
I mean, it's the best. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else, you know, to play my last game here. And that's the way I'm going to play it. I mean, you know, we've been wanting to get this shot for as long as I've been here, and it's here. So now we just got to capitalize on it. And yeah, I couldn't be happier.
Nathan Baird. Nathan?
Sorry, I don't know how privy you are to like some of the things that Thayer Munford had to go through in order to even be able to play at Ohio State in the first place. Obviously, you're familiar with some of the things he's gone through since he's been there. I guess just what are you going to maybe take away or respect the most out of your time with him as a teammate?
I would say I know what he went through, you know, throughout his whole career from high school to here. And I think just the work ethic he has and not, you know, never stepping back and trying to complain about anything. Just whatever happens, he takes it, moves on, see how he can get better from it. And that's every day. And yeah, I've never seen him complain about anything. So yeah, it's really respectable, and it's, you know, something I aspire to be like as well, that he shows that every day.
Next is Angel Wells. Angel?
Hi, so who inspired you growing up as a young athlete? And is there any player who you've modeled your game after throughout your collegiate career?
When I was really young, it was my brother, you know, just older brother, just wanted to do whatever he did. So initially when I started playing football, it was because of him. And then as I started to play tight end, I mean, the obvious answer growing up was Gronk, and just his ability to, you know, block like the best tight end in the NFL, and then also make some of the catches he did look like making it look easy. And then, you know, as I've grown, I've watched, you know, Zach Ertz, Kittle, Kelsey, all those guys, and watched their film and just tried to, you know, take something from each of them that they do really well and put it into my game.
Next is Ben Hall. Ben?
Hey, Luke, you know, you decided to stay in your home state and go to Ohio State for college. What would it mean to you to bring home a national championship following Monday?
I mean, that's everything. As a kid growing up in Ohio, you know, I actually didn't watch a ton of sports growing up, but the one sport I did watch was Ohio State football. And, you know, it means everything to the football fans in the state of Ohio and the people from where I'm from. So, I mean, it would mean everything. So, yeah.
All right. Chris Heidel. Chris?
Hi, Luke. Thanks for taking my question. Just talk about going down to Miami. What do you guys have to do down in Miami? Because this time of the year with the humidity might be an issue for you guys, because up north, you know, with the cold, and also you're so used to be practicing in the cold. What do you guys got to do to keep yourself hydrated for that humidity down there in Miami?
Yeah, I think that just goes into the preparation, you know, leading up to the game, throughout the days before, during the day. And I think we have the best in the country to help us with that, with, you know, our training staff, Coach Mick, training staff, like nutrition and all of them. And I know we'll be ready because of what they do. And then, yeah, just continuing that throughout the game.
All right, time for one more. We have Leo Johnson. Leo?
Back to the Sugar Bowl, you know,
what was it like to beat the Tigers after being told by doubters and critics that you had next to no chance?
I think that just got, a weight lifted off of our shoulders and my shoulders. And, it was like a relief, but then knowing we have the job's not done. But I was a redshirt freshman in 2016 when we were at the Fiesta Bowl. So, that bad taste has been in our mouth for the past 4 years. And huge relief. And then just really great to finally get that win.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time today, Luke. We look forward to seeing you in Miami.
No problem. Thank you.
Yep. Joining us next will be Trey Sermon.
Thank you, Luke.
Hello, you all set?
Mm-hmm.
Great. We'll kick things off with Ben Hall. Ben?
Hey, Trey. Throughout the year, we've seen how talented Alabama's defensive front is and can be against the run. What is something that you think has stood out in film when watching them?
That they're pretty aggressive, and they do their best to try to control the line of scrimmage. So, with them being that, we just have to be physical and be tough up front.
Next is Barry Trammell.
Yeah, Trey, going back to that 2017 Oklahoma-Ohio State game in Columbus, that was sort of your coming out party. You got the chance to play, especially in the second half, and really performed. What do you remember about that game and how much it did to sort of elevate your stock?
I remember everything about that game. To me, it felt like my first big college game. So, I remember it vividly. And, I just remember just being able to make plays. And, it was just an exciting moment. And I was just trying to enjoy every moment of it.
All right. Next is Bill Rabinowitz. Bill?
Okay, I try. The offensive line that you're running behind, I know you had a good one in Oklahoma, but how good is this? How well is this line playing? And what kind of stands out about their blocking and maybe just their mentality or chemistry?
Those guys are great up front. They make my job easy. They control the line of scrimmage. They get great push. And like I said, they make my job a lot easier. And just being able to just get in sync with them, it's gotten easy over time just because of how great they've been. And again, like they do a great job of just getting off the ball and just moving bodies.
Next is Nathan Baird. Nathan?
Hey, Trey, I know you've always considered, being a receiver out of the backfield to be part of your skill set, but the Sugar Bowl was your second best career game there. It's statistically, and a lot of it seemed to come on Justin looking for you in these check down situations. Was that something that was just accidental that happened in that game? Was it something that you guys wanted to incorporate more? And why do you think that was so successful?
I feel like we work on it quite a bit. Even during our periods in practice, if nothing's there, then he'll check it down. So, it's something that we just kind of work on like every day. It just happens. And in the game, it just worked out well because I would get out there and just kind of be uncovered or just an easy check down and being able to just get vertical and just have a positive play.
Next is Stephen Means. Stephen?
Hey, Trey, ACL is that's a very serious injury. I know it's a long comeback period physically for it. When you start feeling better then, but mentally, I guess, when did you start to feel like yourself coming off that injury and, working out in the spring with Rashard?
Really after After it was my LCL, I just it kind of took some time. I mean, I would probably say like as soon as I started like my rehab and like getting off crutches and everything, I mean I kind of started to feel a little bit better, but I mean I didn't feel really good till about the time where I started working with Rashad down in Houston. I mean just gaining confidence back in my knee and knowing that I'm still explosive coming in and out of my cuts.
What's he like as a trainer? Just
He's passionate, and I mean he coaches you hard. Like he doesn't let you like slack off not one bit. And I mean if you need an example, I mean he'll do it first and like show you how it's supposed to be done. And I feel like that's the biggest thing with him. I mean if you have a trainer that can do the drill the right way and show you how it's supposed to be done, I mean that can just help you elevate your game and you just get that much more better.
Next is Griffin Strong. Griffin.
Hey, Trey, I'm wondering how you might be dealing with the added pressure of expectations now that you've had these two huge performances back to back. Do you feel any extra anxiety or extra pressure that you have to perform in a huge way?
No, I actually don't. I mean, I'm confident in my ability, and I know that I prepare well for each game. So, I mean, there's no pressure. I just know I just have to go out there and just execute, do my job to the best of my ability. And, I mean, I know that I'm going to be fine.
Next is Andrea Adelson. Andrea.
Trey, you've shown a lot of resilience throughout your career, and it sounds like that's something that maybe you picked up from or learned from your mom. Just wondering how much her example has allowed you to overcome some of the obstacles that you have faced and just how important she's been for you in your life.
She's been very important. I mean, just seeing all the things that she's been through, how she was able to just persevere, still continue to work hard for our family. And I feel like that just helped me throughout my career because, I mean, I faced a ton of challenges, a bunch of adversity. But I know that, I mean, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I just have to keep working hard, and I know everything will pay off.
Next will be Dennis Dodd. Dennis?
Hey, Trey, I'm sure you've taken a shot in the ribs before in your career. I wonder if you could quantify what that feels like and maybe what Justin is going through and went through when he got that shot, against Clemson.
It's extremely painful. I mean, especially when you're not really like expecting it. I mean, it's pretty painful. And I mean, I know him, he's a tough dude. So I know that he'll be fine. But I mean, again, like it's just not something that you want to happen at all, no matter what. Cause I mean, it's just, like I said, I mean, it just hurt.
Next will be Tony Gerdemann. Tony?
I want to ask about Williams, kind of coming out of nowhere a little bit, Mayan Williams. What have you seen from him this year, and what's it like just to having watched him grow as the season has gone on?
Can you say it again?
Mayan Williams, what's it been like to watch him grow this year?
Oh man, mine, he's been great. I mean, I just seen him improve from, I mean, since we first started camp. I mean, you can tell like a freshman coming in, he was like a little bit lost, just trying to learn everything, and just to see how far he's come. I mean, he just makes plays, and he plays with so much energy and emotion, and I mean, it just gets everybody, I mean, motivated and hyped up, and it's a good thing to see.
Next will be Patrick Murphy. Patrick.
Trey, similarly, I'm interested, we haven't talked to you a ton about Master and your relationship. What has that been like throughout this year, getting to know him and then kind of the back and forth with you guys both getting carries? And now as you've kind of stepped into the forefront here, how is your relationship developed and what's it been like recently?
Our relationship has been the same. I mean, we've always been there to kind of help each other out. Even like during games, like if we see something, we'll just kind of give out some tips just to help each other do better. And I mean, even in practice, like we compete, we push each other to get better. And I mean, that's just kind of how our relationship has been from day one. I mean, and it's still been like that throughout this entire time.
Next is Donnie Woods. Donnie?
Trey, congratulations on a great season and making it to a national championship game. Being more than just a football player, can you tell me a little bit how Coach Day and your position coach kind of displayed about treating you more than just a football player and about what happened yesterday? Did you guys talk as a team about what happened yesterday?
We didn't really talk too much about it yesterday, but I mean they always encourage us to use our voice and use our platform, because I mean they believe in us and they trust us and they have the same views as us. I mean, with them setting the standard, we all believe in the same values and everything. So I mean they just encouraged us to use our platform the right way and speak out on the right things.
All right, Trey, thank you very much. We appreciate the time and look forward to seeing you in Miami.
Thank you.
Next up will be wide receiver Chris Olave. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Yes, appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll kick things off here with Austin Ward. Austin?
Chris, can you just take us through that process of having the Big Ten title game taken away from you and working to get back, and how great that felt to get your kind of redemption there against Clemson?
It was tough. I mean, going into the week, I think that was the best I ever did. I mean, my legs are under me. I was practicing real hard, trying to go into the Big Ten championship, try to go against a good Northwestern defense, and just try to win that game. And to get that tap on my shoulder, it was tough. Called my parents right after and had to go quarantine for 10 days in a hotel. It was tough. I didn't really do much in the hotel. Just try to stay in shape. Lifting a little bit with bands. We couldn't really lift or run, so we just had to work out with bands and do a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, stay in there. When I came out, it was tough coming back to practice. I was getting real tired in practice and just sleeping a lot, and I didn't really get my legs back to towards the end of the week. And I think Wednesday was the day I started to feel good, and thankfully I had a good game on Friday.
Next is Dan Hope. Dan?
Hey, Chris, obviously, Devontae Smith's got a lot of headlines going into this game as the Heisman winner. Do you enjoy having the opportunity as a competitor to kind of go head-to-head with him in this game?
I don't really look at it like that. I just want to win a game. There's a lot of talent on the field. He's a great player, Heisman winner. It's a lot of talent on the field, like I said. I'm just looking forward to winning the game.
Next was Lane Higgins. Lane?
Hey, Chris. I wanted to know, given that you are a person that, firsthand dealt with coronavirus and have seen many teammates go through it all throughout the season, kind of what it was like mentally and in the moments when you weren't at practice to kind of go through the season and, know that there was going to have to be sacrifices made, but that there's still going to be tough, points that you have to go through as well.
It's tough. I mean, we outside of football, we're kind of at the house, or we can't really do much. But to catch it this late in the season is tough. I mean, it's terrible timing, and I know mentally I was messed up. especially catching it towards the end of the season. But I mean, you can't really control that. Just try to control what you control and do his best for the team. And that week, I was just trying to hype my guys up. I'm just glad we came out with the win that week.
Next is Nathan Baird. Nathan?
Hey, Chris, sort of a question on the opposite side of that. How much of you, you can speak for yourself or I guess the whole team, how much have you sort of been perceptive of the toll that this has taken on Ryan Day or the rest of the coaching staff, and how have you guys tried to help them? Or has it been more the other way around, that they try to hide how much this might be affecting them for the sake of you guys?
I mean, it's taking a toll on everybody in the building. Playing a season through the middle of a pandemic, nobody expected this to happen. But like at the end of the day, we just had to control what we can control and just be there for each other at the end of the day. I mean, we're all going through it. We haven't seen family in so long, but we got each other here. And that's all we had to make so many sacrifices this year. It's come down to the final game and we're in national championship. So we're all blessed and we're thankful for the opportunity to play in this game.
Mitch Stacy. Mitch?
Hey, Chris, you're likely to be seeing a lot of Patrick Surtain. He's a finalist for the Bednarik Award, as you probably know. I'm just wondering what you see on tape from him, what he does well, what you're going to have to do to beat him.
He's a great player. I mean, he's a great player. Long, fast, physical. Can't really ask for much in the DB. I know I went against Okuda last year. He's damn near equal to him. So he's a great player, and they got great DBs, great linebackers, great defense, talent all over the field. So we're gonna have to find a way to beat them. I'm looking forward to it.
Next is David Hale. David?
Hey, Chris, I remember talking to Justin last year about when he first got to Ohio State, and it was obviously such a new experience for him being away from home. I think he's sort of a little bit more of a reserved guy to begin with. And he was talking about sort of how homesick he was and wondering if he'd made the right decisions. How did you guys as teammates kind of embrace him, and how have you seen him kind of come out of his shell in the 2 years that you guys have been together? And do you kind of feel like the performance that he put on against Clemson under such adverse, obviously, scenario is sort of the culmination of how much he has embraced being one of your teammates and wanting to win for you guys at all costs?
That's the kind of guy Justin is. I mean, he's a kind of a shy guy at first, but once he gets comfortable, he's comfortable. And to have that game, for him to have that game, but he had a couple of bad games to his standards, and to have that game, especially in the playoffs, was huge for him and for the team. So I'm definitely happy for him. I'm always on the UI side and always have his back.
Next will be Tim May. Tim?
Yeah, hey, Chris, what is the secret for you guys to catch that lightning in a bottle like y'all had last Friday night? I mean, as an offense where everything started clicking, the passing game, Justin was on point. Do you have to go into a game and just let it happen, or do you what I mean? How do you keep from pressing for that to happen again, if you follow my drift?
That just doesn't happen. I mean, the chemistry we have, the trust we have in each other. We all had trust going into the game in each other. We all wanted to pull it all on the field, leave nothing. Coach Day dialed up some things. We went out there and executed, but that doesn't happen just that week. It happens all in the off season, all grinding together, blood, sweat, and tears, just to come to that game and perform. And like I said, we dreamed of that since we were kids. And, now we were in that moment, and we got a moment. We got another game to have fun and cherish.
Next will be Stephen Means. Stephen?
Hey, Chris, when you guys go deep on those play action passes, can you kind of tell pre-snap when you're going to be able to be the guy off the line of scrimmage and get a step on him?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, pre-snap, I could tell, I could see coverages. I could see where guys gonna be. I'm on the same page as Justin, so whatever he sees, I see. And definitely on the deep balls, on the play action balls, I definitely know when it's coming to me or when it's going to somebody else. Pre-snap, if they switch it post-snap, I can see that too. So, like I said, we're all on the same page, and we know where the ball's gonna go.
Is there anything common you see from defenses on some of those plays?
No, it's just the coverage, personnel, just a lot of different things, but that's pretty much the top.
Patrick Murphy. Patrick?
Chris, so much of the buildup to the last game for when we were talking to you was about, beating Clemson and whatnot. Ryan just said that guys didn't come back to just win that game. They wanted to win the whole thing. How much is that your motivation, more so than it was just to get redemption in that game?
Oh, yeah. That's what you come to Ohio State for, to go to the national championship, win a national championship. I know we're recruiting. That's why I wanted to come here, play with the vets. So we get to do that on Monday, and I'm thankful for the opportunity, and it's a huge blessing.
Next is Ben Hall. Ben?
Hey, Chris, as stated before, you'll be lining up against one of the top cornerbacks in the country in Patrick Surtain. How have your matchups against Shaun Wade in practices helped you prepare for these kind of high caliber matchups?
I mean, since my freshman year, there's been a lot of DBs here. Damon Arnett, Jeff Okuda, Kendall Sheffield, Shaun Wade, go down the line. But Surtain is a great player, one of the best players in the country, I believe. And it's going to be a tough matchup, but we got to compete. And it's going to be fun. I'm just happy to be in this opportunity, and I'm blessed.
Next will be Jacob Benji. Jacob?
Hey, Chris. I know you and Garrett have caught a fair share of the passes. I'm curious if you feel that Jameson Williams is underrated. He had that big touchdown catch against Clemson. So I'm curious what work you've seen from him and just your impressions of Jameson Williams.
That's my guy. I mean, me and Jameson, Garrett, we all competed in the offseason. We still compete to this day. But he's really underrated, I think. You could take the top off at any time. One of the fastest players I've seen. So he's my guy, and I'm happy he had the game that he had last week.
Great. Thank you very much for your time today, Chris. Appreciate it. We'll see you in Miami.
Yes, sir.
Joining us now will be quarterback Justin Fields. Justin, thanks for your time today. We've got some guys here lined up to ask some questions, so we'll kick things off with Stephen Means. Stephen?
Hey, Justin, I know your role on that team in 2018 was just totally different than what it is now, but you did get an opportunity.
On 2019?
2018 when you played Bama when you were still at Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a different role, obviously. It's more than just you coming in for a couple of series or a couple of snaps or so. But do you remember anything from that game? Because a lot of those guys still have a role. And I don't know, is there anything you can take from that and actually use it as experience for now?
I remember it. I mean, a freshman playing in that game, I was just like, I'm actually like in this moment. But that's pretty much the biggest thing I remember, of course, from that game. And of course, the few plays I win. But I took a lot from that game, of course, playing Alabama and playing those guys. But yeah, just being at the stage, I feel like that's the biggest thing that I remember.
Next will be Andrea Adelson. Andrea?
Justin, I'm wondering, since you and Trey are both from Georgia, how well you all knew each other, whether you had a relationship or friendship before he got there, and just how you've seen him really turn things on the last few games.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've known Trey since my junior year in high school. We actually played against each other my junior year. He was a senior at the time. But I think we beat him. Yeah, we beat him by like 2 or 3 touchdowns. But yeah, I've known Trey for a long time. We have one of the same trainers that, we've been working out literally together since probably like my senior year, junior, senior year of high school. So we've known each other for a long time now, for sure.
Next is David Hale. David.
Hey, Justin, I was actually just texting with your high school coach, and he said to tell you Coach D says hey. I remember talking to you before about when you were leaving Georgia and you had talked to Coach Day, but you had not yet actually set foot on campus at Ohio State when you committed there. And I know the first week or two was probably not the easiest for you either. What was it about your connection with Coach Day that made you confident that you had made the right decision to go to Ohio State? And when did it sort of click that, like, yeah, this is going to work out okay?
I think, the connection that me and Coach Day had from day one was genuine. Of course, everyone knows he's a great offensive-minded coach, and I knew that he was going to make me a better player, and that's all I was really worried about when choosing the school. So, and when I knew it was going to work out was the first touchdown scored against FAU during the first game of last year. So, yeah.
Next, we'll have Michael Casagrande. Michael.
Yeah, Justin, what do you remember about that fake punt against Alabama, and do you still hear about that now it's 2 years down the road?
Nah, I don't really hear about it anymore. But all I remember is that I went on the punt. Everybody was yelling my name, and the punt didn't go the way we wanted to. So that's the only memory I have from that one play.
Next is Lane Higgins. Lane.
Hey, Justin. I'm not sure if this is something that's more instinctual or if it's something that you've worked on with quarterback trainers and coaches, but it looked like in the second half, after you had absorbed that pretty big hit in the Sugar Bowl, you kind of had adjusted some of your mechanics with your throwing, and you were, taking a bigger stride into the throw and, relying less on your upper body. Is that something that you worked on with anyone specifically, or, how were you trying to manage that?
Yeah, I think it just comes naturally. Of course, when you're trying to complete a pass in a game and you might not have, all of the body parts working like you would, I guess, want them to. You would have to alter another thing, to get the ball where it needs to go. So I might have been altering my footwork or motion a little bit, but that was just, coming off of the injury. So, of course, I was dealing with that.
Yeah, and as a follow-up, did you tell your teammates to stop slapping you on the back when you were making big plays on the sidelines?
Nah, I don't think they smacked me right there in the side, not right on the side, but of course, I think those guys were cognizant of my injury, so I didn't really get a lot of slaps or a lot of punches to the side.
Next is Justin Felder. Justin.
What's up, Justin? I'm with Fox 5 in Atlanta. I want to follow up on, I think it was Andrea's question from a minute ago. What more can you say about your relationship with Trey, how that's kind of grown? And have you guys kind of compared your journeys at all, starting out at other places, ending up here in the national championship game and being two Cobb County guys, trying to play for a national title?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely crazy just seeing the position we are, where we are right now. But, yeah, I've known Trey for a long time. He's always been a hard worker, but I think we'll talk about this in a few years from now. But I think right now we're more so living in the moment. So yeah, we haven't really look back on it. Of course, I tell him after every big game we win, I usually go up to him after the game and say to him, "I told you that you should have came here." But yeah, other than that, that's all we talk about. We don't really talk about how this is, all crazy and stuff like that. But I definitely think for sure down the line we will.
Next is Steve Hummer. Steve.
Yes, Justin, I guess under any circumstances, you'd be gratified to get to this game. But looking at the arc of this season, when you even had to speak out just so there'd be a season, being here, is that any more meaningful to you?
It's definitely more meaningful because this is where we wanted to be before the season even started and when our season got canceled. So I think, all of the stuff we've done in the past, all of the workouts, all of the, getting the games canceled, saying we're playing and saying we're not playing, that messes with your mental. But, just all of the stuff that this team has been through and all of the stuff that everybody's been through here is just a big sacrifice just for this moment. So we're just glad that we have the opportunity to play.
Next is Ralph Russo. Ralph?
Justin, playing off the question you had earlier about what you what connected well with Coach Day, was there anything in particular about the offense or anything you remember talking, hey, here's how we're going to play, that made you feel like, oh yeah, this would work for me?
No, not really. I feel like I'm able to adjust to, I guess, any kind of offense, but there wasn't, I guess, one specific thing where, what kind of jumped out at me. It was really just, Ohio State's their success with quarterbacks on the college level, and just the amount of success that I would have under Coach Day and being able to learn from him, because of course he's been in the NFL. He's been to the level that I'm trying to go. So I've definitely learned a lot from him.
Next is Bill Rabinowitz. Bill? Bill, are you there?
Yeah, I just lost you for a second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, on your status, how you're feeling, how you think it might be affected. And if you want to clarify anything that you said after the game about how everything was handled.
Yeah, I think, what I said after the game was kind of taken out of context. I just want to make one thing clear, that is that I have, my full trust is in the trainers here at Ohio State and Dr. Borcher. So I wasn't, I guess, hesitant on taking anything that they would give me, but I was just trying to do whatever I could do to get back on the field. And I think those guys handled it, the way I would have wanted it to be handled. So I just put my full trust in those guys, and I see how they deal with guys here, and I have personal relationships with all of them. So I just don't want anything I said in the post game interview to kind of get taken out of context and just be like, oh, they just shot him up and sent him back out there. No, it wasn't like that. I think they did a full I guess analysis of my injury and how it was, and they thought they did what they thought was best. So yeah, I was fully comfortable with that. But I'll be good come Monday night.
And you don't think you'll be affected at all?
I'll be good by Monday night.
Next, we'll hear from Brendan Gullick. Brendan?
Justin, I realize that the number of Buckeyes that have played for a national championship in their career is certainly an elite fraternity within your own program. Have you personally, or as a team, have any of you guys heard from former guys that have played for national championships, and have they shared anything with you that you could share with us?
No, I haven't heard anything from the recent players, but I'm sure I will hear some things from them, as we get closer to the game. But from this point, I haven't heard from anybody that's played in that game before.
All right. Next is Austin Ward. Austin.
Justin, I know you're not going to talk specifically about how you're feeling, but Coach Day said that maybe on Saturday you woke up feeling better than you expected. When you went to bed, did you have any doubts about your body holding up well enough to get to Monday night?
Yeah, I think the day after the game, I woke up definitely better than expected, but the days that I didn't expect to wake up kind of hurting was 2 or 3 nights after the game. But I mean, I really haven't, thought about, how this injury is going to affect how I'm going to play. I'm just thinking about getting as much treatment as possible and trying to get my body right to 100% to be able to perform at a max level. come Monday night.
Dennis Dodd. Dennis?
Justin, what did Northwestern do that night, and how much do you give them credit for how they approached your offense, and how much do you put it on yourself that night? And another question: do you ever check the amount of signatures on that petition? Because there's quite a few now.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you ever check the number of signatures on that crowdsourced petition that you started at the beginning of the season?
No, I mean, I stopped probably checking it probably when they said that we would have a season. At that point, that was the whole goal of it was to have a season. So after they said that we were able to have a season, I was, just fine with whatever number that was up there.
And time for one more here from Billy Witz. Billy?
Justin, hi. Just going back to what you were saying about the injury against Clemson. Was part of the discussion at all, about how well you could protect yourself? Just because you looked like you were obviously played really well, but you weren't able to move like you probably normally.
So what's the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, was part of the discussions that you had with Dr. Borchers, and I don't know if the coaches, did it ever come up with not just a pain tolerance, but could you move around well enough to protect yourself?
I mean, I feel like me and Coach Day probably had some conversation about it, of what certain plays we could run and couldn't run. But other than that, if I can't protect myself, then I don't need to be out on the field. So I thought, in my head, I thought personally that I was able to go out there and protect myself if, anything bad would happen.
And just going back to your last game in high school when when you got hurt and then you weren't able to go on. I don't know. Does that in any way, I guess motivate you and just some of the injuries that you've had in college and just have played through, or is it just more just the types of injuries where that was something where it just really impacted how you could throw the ball?
No, not really. I wouldn't say that motivated me, but to be honest, I just look at injuries like it's a part of football. It doesn't matter who you are. You can get injured on one play and never be able to play football again in your life. But again, like I said before, it's what we sign up for. We know the risk coming into this. That's why we just try to I guess stay as safe as possible when we're playing the sport, and well, that's why we have rules set in place. But yeah.
All right, Justin, thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you in Miami.
Appreciate it.
Joining us next will be guard Wyatt Davis. Wyatt, well, you all set there? We've got a few people lined up to ask questions here.
Okay, yeah, I'm all good.
All right, we'll kick things off with Mark Wicker. Mark?
Hi, Wyatt. I know that there's been a little bit of a trend in recent years of players from California going south and Midwest, especially some of the higher recruited ones. I wanted to see how that applied to you and what your reasons were and why you think that's happening.
Honestly, I think at least for me, I know my reason for coming all the way out to Ohio State was to have the opportunity to play in a game like this. And for me personally, I just always was infatuated with, programs like Ohio State. And it was the easy decision for me. And I just feel like guys from out west, especially in California, if you're going to go through college football and put yourself through the, type of commitment that it is, why not go to a school that puts you in a position to play for it all? So I mean, at least for me, that's what I think the reasoning is for why a lot of people are choosing where I'm from to, go to these bigger schools, is to have the opportunity to play in games like this.
Next is Dan Hope. Dan?
Hey, Wyatt. Obviously, you almost made the decision to not play this season, to opt out. You come back, and now you're here in the national championship game. Just how special is it that, this all culminates in an opportunity for you to play for a title?
It's huge. I mean, there were guys on my team after the Clemson game, messing with me about it, saying, wow, you would have chose to sit out and miss out on this. And it's honestly crazy just how everything that I wanted to happen this season is happening. Now we just have to go finish. But, I mean, words can't really describe how I feel personally just to have this opportunity. I mean, I remember watching in high school the national championship and just how much of a big deal it is for me, and me telling myself at a young age back then, hopefully one day I'll be on that field playing. And here I am now, a couple of years later, with that opportunity. So it's definitely special.
Next is Nathan Baird. Nathan?
Wyatt, I'm sure that you're somewhat privy to a lot of the things that Thayer Munford had to go through just to be able to attend Ohio State, let alone have the career that he's then had. And you're familiar with some of the things he's gone through while he's been there. Just what do you maybe respect the most of, what do you remember the most about him as a teammate and what he's gone through during his time here?
Just how much of a brother he is to me. I mean, we came into this program and we were roommates actually in the dorm as well. And like what you said, I mean, what he had to go through. He played a whole season with a messed up back and, didn't complain once. I mean, that was a guy that was at practice every day that season, practicing with his back issue. And the way he bounced back from that, a lot of guys in his situation could have quit. But what I would say is the thing I'm most impressed with him and respect the most is his determination and grit. I mean, like you said, to him coming here, just all the obstacles he had to go through in life, and he never once quit, I think says a lot about his character and the type of person he is. I mean, that's one guy, if he has a goal set, he's going to get it done. So that's probably something that I will definitely remember the most from him.
Okay, next is Austin Ward. Austin?
Wyatt, 2 years ago when Coach Day took over, there was a lot of people that wondered if Coach Stud would be retained on the staff and stay moving forward. Fast forward, you guys have one of the best offensive lines in the country. What is it about Stud, the way he's handled the last couple of years, the way he coaches you guys, that has produced this level of success?
I would just say his expectation, and it all starts from practice. And I feel like a lot of it, I feel more nervous to make, mistakes in practice than I do in games, just because he expects a lot out of us, and he pushes us to get to points where we're at now, to have success, for yourself as well as for the team. And I would just say the thing he does the best, and that I've noticed, is whether you're a walk-on or a starter, when he gets into you, it's the same as everybody else. No one's held, to a different standard, and that standard is excellence, and that's what he demands out of us. And at least for me, it's more so a thing. I want to play so hard, because of him and how he pushes us, because I know he's doing everything in his power to put us in a great position to succeed. So, as far as it goes for me playing, I feel like I have to return the favor. So I feel like he's a great leader, and he's just so knowledgeable of the game and techniques and what to do in certain situations. And I mean, there's stuff that we've done this year, against certain teams as far as blitzes go, that teams were struggling with, and he just breaks it down so easy for us to understand and to really look for it. And I feel like his film sessions is a lot of the reason why we've had the success we've had. Because, I thought I knew how to watch film until I got here and started working with Coach Dodd. So just all those things combined, I think, is why we're so successful.
Next is Ben Hall. Ben?
Hey, Wyatt. Yesterday we heard Haskell Garrett say this game will be won in the trenches on Monday. So looking forward to the national championship, how important do you think your matchup against the Alabama defensive line will be important in winning this game?
It's going to be very important. I feel like that's basically how it goes every single game. Alabama or not, the game is won in the trenches. They have a great defensive line up front. They have a great offensive line, Joe Moore winners. And, we're just going to have to come out and play football. Obviously they're very talented and we're very talented as well. So otherwise we wouldn't be playing each other in this situation. So going into it, we know where the battle has to be won, and it's definitely in the trenches, and they have great players and great scheme defensively, which is what we've been working on all week. So just going out there and playing, I think, is probably the most important. Just playing a game of football. So.
Next is Zach Baziller. Zach?
What has stood out? What stood out the most about Justin's game in the Sugar Bowl? And what do you think, for people who might have been doubting him or questioning him after the Northwestern game, what do you think he showed?
I think exactly that, not to count him out. The shots that he took during that Clemson game, and the fact that he came back after that and had the type of game he had says a lot about the type of leader he is, which is what I've been preaching all season. And, the amount of respect he has for his brothers to just not, quit. And I think it stands high, and that's why he's so respected on this team, and he's held at a high standard. I don't think there were any doubts, again, that he would, if he could, he would go back in and play. But I would just say, as far as playing goes, in pass protections, obviously it's great that we have Josh Myers, who's extremely smart and breaks it down, but we also have Justin back there too that is a student of the game. And, he helps us out at times where we might not see something that he sees that they're going to bring, and just stuff like that. This is a guy that watches film for hours and would be the last guy leaving the Woody Hayes. So just his will to win, I would say, is probably the most impressive thing for me.
Next is David Hale.
Hey, Wyatt, you talked a little bit about the toughness that Justin showed there. I remember talking to him, though, about sort of when he first got to Ohio State. Of course, he committed without having been on campus and met all you guys in advance, about him being a little bit homesick, not really knowing where he fit in with things. And it took him a little while to kind of get his footing there. What do you remember about how you guys sort of embraced him when he got there? And when did you start to see him really kind of come out of his shell and become that leader that you're talking about?
Yeah, so I could definitely tell when he first got here, he was definitely trying to, figure out his role, and didn't really know anybody on the team, really. I had reached out to him. The whole line reached out to him prior to him, being here and working out with us. But I would say I would probably say after that FAU game, really, is when I felt like he was truly comfortable with everything and felt comfortable enough as a leader on the team to speak out. And I would say that this year he's taken it to another level, hence why he's the captain this year. And but again, I would say probably after the first game, especially when he had that long run, I remember everyone on the team was like, sheesh, this guy can move. So I just felt like as the season went on, the more and more comfortable he got.
Next is Spencer Holbrook. Spencer?
Wyatt, you had already talked about opting back into the season and all that, but what's it been like the last 2 years? I think you've talked about this before. What's it been like the last 2 years just being beside Josh and working with him and growing with him. It's two offensive linemen that probably deserve a little more recognition than they both get.
It's been great. I mean, I knew Josh even prior to coming to Ohio State. Went to camps with him together, and we just built a great relationship from the first time we met. And going into college, pretty much going through similar stuff. When we both got here, we both redshirted, and then just truly working to earn our spot as a starter. And we just went through such similar grind, and to now be able to do the type of stuff that we've done. I mean, he's a Remington finalist, and I honestly couldn't be more proud of just how he's grown, not only as a player, but to me as a brother and a friend. And it's been really cool just to see the evolution of Josh Myers take off. So it's been great, and I'm really excited for the future he's going to have as far as football goes. And he pushes me to go harder every day. And that's a guy that I know going into each game, I got to compete with him with knockdowns, because if he has more than me, he'll definitely let me hear it. So, but no, it's been great seeing him grow.
Great. Thanks for the time, Wyatt. Appreciate this, and we'll see you in Miami.
Thank you.
Joining us next will be center Josh Myers. Hey, Josh, thanks. Great. Thanks for joining us. Got a few folks. Yep, got some people lined up here, ask a few questions. We'll kick things off with Bill Rabinowitz. Bill?
Josh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. You kind of talked about this a little bit after the game, the Clemson game, but an offensive line needs cohesion, needs time together, and you guys haven't had that the last several games. How have you been able to overcome that? First of all, and how important is the same kind of dominance you had against Clemson to be displayed against Alabama?
Yeah. Well, for starters, it's really important. I truly believe in my heart that games are won at the line of scrimmage, won or lost at the line of scrimmage. And so it's always important. And it's always a focal point of what we do. So huge for sure. And then, yeah, just in terms of cohesion within an offensive line group, it is really important. And we're just kind of, you're right, we haven't been able to do it a whole lot this year. Just so many things getting shifted around, so many people in and out. I think we just got used to not having it, We're not used to the same five guys always being there, just doing what we have to get it done. I don't know. It's a good question.
All right, next is Brendan Golick. Brendan?
Hi, Josh. Congratulations on getting this far in the season and having a chance to cap it down in Miami. I'm curious if you could tell us maybe what you've learned from both Coach Meyer and Coach Day about training to play in championship moments and being, at your mental best to perform in those moments.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And, yeah, I've learned a lot from both of them. And I think in terms of what has stuck out to me the most has just been the preparation throughout the week. Both of them have been huge on the preparation throughout the week. And, both of them really have always said that the games aren't won on, Saturday or in this case, Monday.
You know, the games are won on a hard Tuesday practice, a padded Wednesday practice. And I think that myself and our team really takes that to heart, and we always try and show up, you know, and give it everything we got and prep the best we can, especially those earlier in the week practices where they're padded. So for me, I think that's the most important thing.
All right, next up we have Austin Ward. Austin.
Josh, I think Matt Jones has 2 starts and 2 champion grades. What does that say about him and his ability to step in, and maybe about the unit as a whole to stay ready?
Yeah, I think Matt's done a great job, and that's huge. You know, they haven't been 2 easy games either. You know, I mean, they've been really important games. So he's done a great job, and I think it says a lot. You've seen our team throughout this season miss people, you know, people who would normally be starting, that, you know, just aren't there certain weeks. And I think what you've seen throughout our team is people who typically wouldn't be starting in the situation, and understanding that they have to do what they have to do to help our team win the game. It's a very different mindset when you're going in to a game and you're a second team guy that you think you're probably not going to play, as compared to when you know you're going to start and you have no choice but to play, but to prepare, but to take the week just dead serious the whole time. I think that's been huge for Matt. You know, he was in that situation, and he has no choice. You know what I mean? He's there. He has to perform, and he knows it. And that's what he's done. I think it speaks volumes to the character of our team.
Next will be Nathan Baird. Nathan.
Actually, I have a natural follow-up to that question. I think Paris Johnson then has to come in and play some guard, which is not necessarily his forte. And I think ends up playing both guard spots in that game. I guess, how have you seen him develop over the course of the season to someone who can help you guys in a moment like that? And then also, what does that sort of versatility tell you about what he might be down the road, even when he is focusing on tackle?
Yeah. Paris is a extremely talented football player and offensive lineman. He has the right skill set. He has what God has given him, and God has given him a lot. And he also has the mindset. I don't know if I should say this or not, because it's pretty early on in Paris's career, but in my personal opinion, if Paris isn't an Outland Trophy winner by the time he leaves here, then he screwed something up, because he should be by the time he leaves, in my opinion. He's that talented. So, yeah, I mean, he's a ball player, man. He's good. I think he could step in pretty much anywhere on the offensive line and be just fine.
Next will be Andrea Adelson. Andrea.
Hey, Josh, good to see you again. I would love your perspective as somebody who blocks for him, what you have thought about what Trey has been able to do the last few games for your team.
Yeah, good to see you. Trey has been huge for our team, and it's been so fun. And I think I heard Coach Day say something about this in a different interview, that Trey never once complained. You know, he was a big-time running back from Oklahoma that transferred to Ohio State, and the start of his career at Ohio State didn't exactly go perfectly, and there were just, you know, things were different, and he had a bit of a slower start than he would have wanted, and he never said anything. I never, not one time did he complain. Never, not one time did he ask for more carries, or, you know, he never had a bad attitude. He just kept coming to work, and I think that's the most satisfying part for me in watching him succeed now, and how well he's playing. He just does everything right. He never complains. I mean, I'm just I honestly, I can't say enough how happy I am for him.
Next was Patrick Murphy. Heather.
Josh, do your tackles, the starting tackles, get talked about enough for what they do for you guys and how talented they are?
I don't think so. I don't think they get talked about enough. I think both of them are really, really good players. I mean, you just look at the Clemson game. I mean, even just their pass protection was incredible all night, and they've been doing it all season. It's weird. It's a weird thing when tackles get slightly overlooked, you know, among members of the offensive line, but somehow it's managed to happen this year. But those two guys are so valuable to our team and what we do every week. So yeah, I think they don't get enough recognition for what they do.
Next will be Leo Johnson. Leo.
What have you seen in Alabama's, front seven that might pose as a threat for y'all going into this game?
Yeah, they're really talented. I mean, they're really talented across the board. They have good, big, strong, athletic guys across the board, and they know their scheme really well. And you can just see it coming through film. They're extremely disciplined and extremely good with their technique. You can tell. I mean, their technique is outstanding all the time. They're just the type of group that never makes a mistake in terms of what gap they're supposed to be in. If they run a blitz, no one messes up, which you see fairly often in college football, where a blitz gets communicated incorrectly and some guy loops the wrong way or someone hits the wrong gap. That I've been watching a bunch of film on them, and I don't think I've seen it one time. So that's the thing that jumps out the most to me.
Next is Dan Hope. Dan.
Hey, Josh, you were, among the players honored on Senior Day. I'm just wondering, have you made a final decision yet on whether this will be your last game as a Buckeye?
You guys will know that answer on the 12th.
Next is Angel Wells. Angel.
Hi, so what do you love about playing at Ohio State in the winning and competitive culture that is cemented at the university? And what have you taken away from playing with so many gifted football players during your time there?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's so many things that make Ohio State a great place. I think what separates Ohio State is there's great people at Ohio State. I think there's great people at a lot of places, but there's great people at Ohio State who care about you and also push you in the direction that you need to go to get you to where you need to be in your career. And I think that's a special thing. And I think that the way that the entire university and the coaching staff and everyone inside the facility goes about it is what separates us, in my personal opinion. And then on top of that, just like you said, the culture and the history behind Ohio State football, man, it's just so special. All of the things that we get to do, the skull session on a regular season, and then playing in the horseshoe, and there's just I could talk about it forever, to be honest with you.
All right, next we have Tony Gerdemann. Tony.
Josh, I wanted to ask about Mayan Williams. Has come on late this year. What's it been like watching him grow? What's it like to block for a guy like that?
Yeah, it's fun, man. You guys, I've gotten asked that a couple questions about different running backs that we've had, and they're all fun to block for. Just super, Mayan is going to have a great career here. He runs the ball extremely hard, and as an offensive lineman, I just love that. The lower your shoulder mentality is. I'm a fan. I like to think that's how I'd be if I was a running back. So it's been fun to watch him grow this year and contribute. And man, he's contributed in some pretty key moments as well. So it's been fun.
Time for one more from Jeremy Birmingham. Jeremy.
Hey, Josh, I don't want to add to the hyperbole, but a coach of yours told me before the season that Paris Johnson was the most talented freshman offensive lineman they'd ever seen. And now with what you're saying about the Outland, what does it say about you guys as a group that A, he's not even playing, but B, what has your role been, yours, Wyatt, Thayer, Nick, the role just as far as guiding him in this weirdest season?
Yeah. Paris would be a starting offensive tackle at 99% of the universities in the country this season. I think part of our role, and the reason why I said I'm not sure I should say this or not, is because he is a young guy and he has things he needs to improve on, and I don't want, him to hear that and, start, you know what I mean. But I know Paris well enough now to understand that he won't take it that way. Yeah, I mean, I think, me, Thayer, and Wyatt have just tried to keep his head in it, which he's done a great job of doing. It was a great year for him to just continue to get better. And he has just all year. He's gone hard and he's been committed to getting better. So he's been a pleasure to play with, and one day he's going to be a whole lot better than probably anyone else, on our starting line right now.
Great. Thanks for your time today. We look forward to seeing you in Miami.
Thank you guys so much.
We'll wrap up today with offensive coordinator Kevin Wilson. Coach, thanks for your time today. I think you're still muted there.
We good?
There we go. Yeah, we got you now.
Computers are only as smart as the people operating them.
So we'll kick things off today, Coach. We have Austin Ward here. Fire away.
Evan, you've been around a number of high-level quarterbacks, and just looking at Justin purely from the way he throws, if we can assume that he might not run as much on Monday night, how does he stack up with some of the best just pure passers you've been around?
And I've been around some guys, and I've coached the position, although never having played quarterback. I don't know if I'm an expert on the throw part of it. I'd always dealt with quarterbacks as a guy that was a golf-related guy. It was more about, what you see in your feet and how to process more than the throw. So from a mechanical standpoint, I really don't get on that. I know Ryan's kind of worked a lot with him through the offseason to continue to enhance his movement within the pocket and how to keep his eyes downfield and stay with his reads and have subtle movements and staying alive, because he's a really good athlete that can take off, but how to move within the pocket and try to extend the play of the arm. He can make a lot of throws, make a lot of great throws. He throws a deep ball. He not only has a big arm to throw the deep ball, but he's really, really accurate with the deep ball. And I think Ryan's tried to do a tremendous job, he and Coach Dennis, of just trying to clean him up on the intermediate, make the high percentage throws more high percentage for him. So had a great week of practice last week and off to a good start here this week. So we'll see how it goes. Got a great challenge with the tremendous defense, tremendous secondary, tremendous coverage with Coach Saban, Coach Golden's background. We'll have our hands full for him throwing the ball. That's going to be for sure. He also throws the ball when protection's good, and that'll be a challenge with Alabama as well. So, but he can make all the throws, and at the same time, as talented he is, I think he's scratching the surface. He has a bright future in this game.
Next will be Ralph Russo. Ralph.
Hey, Kevin. When you came in with Ryan, what did he and you envision for this offense? Obviously, you were brought in by Urban to make some changes. You had never worked with Ryan before, at least I don't think. Where did sort of your philosophies meld? What was his vision? What was your vision? And what were these again? So what was the evolution that you guys were looking to sort of take place on the Ohio State's offense?
You know, I think with his background, having played in a similar offense, that in time, you know, my background being older, it went from the original I formation, you know, Midwest offenses that were ran. You know, my college coach came from the Mid-American Conference, Dick Crum from Miami, Ohio. And when you went to North Carolina, he ran the sprint draw and the power and the counter and the fullback belly and the toss and power pass and sprint draw pass and counter boot and old-fashioned I formation plays. And we did that. And in time, the only reason why we changed when we went to Northwestern in the 2000 season was just the need of not having tight ends led to the evolution of running this offense. Well, Coach Day's coordinator at New Hampshire was Chip Kelly. Me and Chip had crossed paths through a mutual friend, James Patton, had got to know Chip when he was coaching at Rhode Island, and Chip was at New Hampshire, and now we're at Northwestern, and so we visited it. I think, you know, Chip kind of ran with it his way. We were kind of running with it our way in the spread. Over time, you know, I was an offensive line guy, background guy that had a little bit of quarterback play, but Ryan's a pure quarterback guy. But I think him being around his background at Boston College and his background being around some of his coaches that he had a couple stints there where with Coach O'Brien and with Coach Adazio, where he had some really good line background head coaches. So I think Brian's a skill guy that understands line play. I'm a line guy that knows a little bit about skill play, not a lot, but a little bit. And I think we have similar views, but slightly different, but they're cohesive in that we're playing through this spread game. When we came here, it wasn't like we were putting ideas in. We were learning what Coach Meyer wanted us to do, period. And we learned that style of offense and what the language was and the way he wanted to operate, getting the ball to Paris Campbell. And at the time we had J.K. and Mike Weber and throwing the ball and what J.T. Barrett could do with the line. Over time with Haskins and the passing game, it evolved a little bit the next year. But that initial year when we got here was really just trying to be a great teammate and be a part of what Coach Meyer would always say, it's the Ohio State offense. And over time, each year, the Ohio State offense has evolved a little bit. And in Ryan's time and with him, we've changed a little. But really, we haven't gotten away from trying to be physical, run the ball, score touchdowns in the scoring zone, take care of the football. You know, our vision never changed because we never got away from the core values. When I was at Northwestern years ago, and we changed to the spread, we never got away from the core values that Randy Walker wanted. We were going to run the ball. We were going to try to be physical. We're going to take care of the quarterback. We're going to not win the turnover battle. We're going to win the field position battle, play good defense, kick the ball well. Those are the same things we try to do here at Ohio State. Those will be things we'll try to do Monday night because that's going to be the key to winning. So we've been able to morph and evolve, but it really just started with what Coach Meyer wanted. And since that time, we've kind of played to the strength of our players more than things that Coach Day or I or anybody wants to do.
Next will be Mitch Stacy. Mitch.
Okay, gotcha. Hi, Kevin. I wanted to ask you about Patrick Surtain. He's maybe the best defensive player in the country. Just wondered what challenges he poses to you guys, and you know what you have in your bag of tricks to try to neutralize that guy.
Well, you know, his thing is of course, then they can do many different things with their coverages and adjustments, but in reality, he's such a great cover guy that basically you put an X on that guy because he's covered up, locked down a lot. And that being said, that he doesn't need to, you know, have a lot of safety help or bracket help or inside help. He can play a guy one-on-one. So that allows the defense to then bracket other receivers, or that allows the defense then to cheat with linebackers and safeties to outnumber you and outgap you in the run game. So, I mean, he's a tremendous player. A guy we recruited hard. I know Coach Combs was disappointed when we didn't get him a few years back, and Coach Halfin, those guys were dealing, trying to get him in here. I think it was just Coach Combs back then, but he's a tremendous player. He's athletic. He's long. He's going to do a great job doing his part to helping what's a very, very strong defense do well. So I'm sure there's going to be some reads where the ball is going to go that way because Justin's going to fill the matchup. We have good receivers that goes to that guy. But he'll be he's one of the best players in college football. He has a great future playing defensive back. He's one of the premier defenders, and he'll have a great career, not only in college, but moving forward.
Next will be Barry Trammell. Barry?
Yeah, Kevin, you gave us a good, sort of good lineage of your offensive pass going back to Dick Crum. Where does your 07, 08 no huddle stuff fit in there? How much of that what you did in Norman in those 2 years tie in with any of the stuff you're doing now, or that really anybody's doing in this offensive world we live in?
Hey, Barry, I hope you're doing well down there. Sending my daughter back down to school there in about a week or two. It's, you know, we didn't want to go or didn't plan to go no huddle when we're at Northwestern, but back then we were studying what Coach Rodriguez did. We were trying to find something because we did not have tight ends and fullbacks. And we did it in the spread set because that's what everyone did. And when I was fortunate enough to get hired by Coach Stoops to come to Oklahoma, we fiddled around with my first year or so, a little bit in some practices with Coach Long, but it really didn't fit the terminology we had at that time. It really didn't fit our guys. We were playing really, really good back then. That's the 2000, and in fact, that was the team actually played Coach Saban's team in 2002, and then the 2003 team that played in the Sugar Bowl. You know, we didn't really come to it until the 2008 year when Sam was coming back. Bob came in the offseason and said, I think we need to look at no huddle. And I said, well, Coach, if you want to, we need to change a couple things the way we practice, because you got to practice a certain way. And I don't know if that fits the way you want to do things defensively. And I remember he had Coach Snyder came down that year from K-State. He was out of coaching at that time in their clinic. I remember I met with Coach Snyder and I said, Coach, I'm struggling because Coach Stoops wants to go no huddle. And I think that might mess us up because we're really pretty good on defense. What do you think? And he says, well, because you got a good offense, I think you're going to get more at bats. So, Barry, what we were able to do because of Jermaine Gresham, Brody Eldridge, a phenomenal player, Matt Clapp, we were able then to start doing no huddle with personnel groupings where we weren't spread out all the time, where it wasn't quarterback run game all the time. We were able to add the Mike Leach style passing that we continued to do that Mike had brought in there in 99. We were able to add that with now some really strong tight end play with Jermaine and Brody. We had a really good offensive line with Trent Williams, and Phil Lodeholt, and Duke Robinson and John Cooper. And we had some good players on. I've had, Manny Johnson and Joaquin outside. It was a really, really, and we had DeMarco and Chris Brown dotting the I back there. So there's some good players. But the deal was, I remember talking to Herb Street preseason. He said, you guys are going to be good. I said, Kirk, I don't want to say anything till after we get by this game in the middle of October. But I think we're going to go no huddle with this multiple personnel groupings. I think we can mess with some people. Now the game is called, defenses have caught up. But I think that's from there when the RPOs started coming in, the multiple personnel groupings, offenses has continued to grow. There's still some great defenses, but you're going to see two strong defenses playing against two pretty, really, really strong offenses on Monday night. And that's kind of where the game's evolved. Even the pro game where guys are scoring 35, 40, 40 some points now.
Next we have Dennis Dodd. Dennis.
Hey, Kevin. I wonder, a lot's been said about Justin's guts and, taking the shot to the ribs during that game against Clemson. I wonder if you could portray from your perspective how that went with him playing with it. And then what was the difference between what Northwestern did to you guys and, why Justin and the offense prospered so much against Clemson?
Different defenses. Northwestern's, they played well in their bowl game against Auburn. I think they won 35-18 or 19. That really good season. They're, a little bit different, not as multiple with pressures or looks as Clemson, but they were, Coach Hankwich is in his own way different, but a great coordinator and had a great run up there. And so, they were able to keep the ball in front of them. We had a couple of receivers out that maybe threw our timing out a little bit of whack. I think as much as anything, I think after a couple losses, it just looked like last week, Coach Day was able to, the last 2 weeks prior to that Clemson game, was able just to get Justin to settle down and get his eyes back where they need to be and not force plays and take what's there and trust what's there. And we're able to have some success in the running game. As the running game got going well, it was able to complement the pass game, and that was that game. This is a different game. It's going to be hard to run on these guys. They're strong and stout and keep our balance, but we got to find a way to keep the chains on schedule and try to find a way to get some first downs and try to find a way to get Justin going. In the game, when he took the hit, it was a big hit. And all we thought after that was, if he could go, we need to be very smart because, you're going to do a bunch of QB runs after that. And he was able to, I guess, come back and play. I don't know the conversations that he and Coach Day had, other than we just try to be really smart with the decisions we put. We still able to throw the ball. I think he showed a year ago, he took a pretty good hit and took a low injury in a rival game up north and came out and made one of the best plays of his life the next play after coming off that deal. So he's been able to fight through some adversity, and he's a very good player, and he's a tough player. And I think it's just his DNA and his makeup, it looks like.
Next will be Bill Rabinowitz. Bill?
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Bill.
Offensive lines need cohesion, and you guys have not had that luxury with the COVID situation that you've had. How have you been able, you and Stud, to be able to counteract that? And how important is the same kind of performance that you had against Clemson going to be against Alabama?
I don't know. I mean, we missed some of those games. We lose the Maryland game, then we lose our Illinois game, and then we lose our rival game. So we're kind of going every other week. But every day, this has always been a great practice outfit. Our Tuesdays and Wednesdays, a lot of good on good, whether it be individual periods, group periods, inside run periods, team periods. And that being said, sometimes our second team players, we do a lot of twos on ones. Sometimes our second team players are playing as some of the best players in the country in practice. So, we had a game where we had a couple linemen out, but to me, I wasn't really over concerned about that game. I knew we had some talented players coming in. I knew they'd been practicing well. So I actually think, I don't think you run the ball the way we've been running in a team that's not an option-oriented team and don't have pretty good line playing cohesion. And I think it's also complemented by couple really good tight ends that no one wants to talk about unless they catch a ball. Them guys block their butts off every week. So it's a solid front. Is it a great, phenomenal line? I don't know about that. But man, they're really good. They're great kids. They give us great practice habits. They're talented. We work really hard to try to put them in good schemes. It's hard because every team's out gapping you. Tough thing in college ball. 1 week it's this scheme, then it's that scheme. Then it's, every week it's different schemes. But Coach Dodd does a great job. Those linemen are really playing solid. To me, you don't know if it's a good line to the end of the year, and you can look back and see what you did. So we'll wait till Monday night to see how good a line it is. And they're going to get their strongest test Monday night with Alabama's front because they're the best we've seen. But I got a lot of respect for our Coach Stud. I got a lot of respect for the O-line, and I appreciate that our group at tight end can complement and help those guys. And then with that, Trey makes the plays, Justin makes the plays. But without those cats up front, it wouldn't be the offense that we have.
Next, we have Sam Kahn. Sam?
Hey, Kevin. 7 of the last 8 games Alabama's played, statistically, their defense has been pretty good. I'm curious what you've seen that they've done well and that stands out. And on the flip side, with the success that Florida and Ole Miss had moving the ball, what can you take away from that as you strategize?
Yeah, the Ole Miss game's early, and I think it looks like, as they've been able to play, one of the best ways to get better is by playing. I think that's why we played pretty well the other night. We finally got to game 6, game 7, game 8. Typically, that's when we were, we'd have like one of our Big Ten road or home games that second, third, fourth week of October, a big game. That was kind of where last week was in our calendar of games, the way the schedule fell this year. So I think Alabama's gotten better because they've been able to playing a great league against great players every week. I know Florida got hot and I think got into a little bit of a shootout. Credit to Florida to making some plays and keeping some drives extended. But to me, I haven't played Alabama in quite a while. You watch them. I've always watched Coach Saban's teams. Shoot, I think the first year we competed against him was like 90, 91 at Miami, Ohio, when he was at Toledo or something, like 1990, I think it was. And he was the head coach up there. So crossed his path at Michigan State as well. Crossed him at LSU, and now here we are, seeing his Alabama team. They're a great defense with talent, length. They're going to make it unbelievably challenging. I just think as they play, they've gotten better and better. And, you can skew the numbers, and statistically, we can always make offenses and defenses look better than they are or worse than they are. The key things is the great teams do what it takes to win every week, and that's what their defense does. And that's what Coach Saban has done as well as anyone that's ever coached the game of football.
We have time for one more. Nathan Baird. Nathan?
Hey, Kevin. I was talking to some people around Thayer Munford the other night, and they were mentioning this meeting I think you and Stud had with him late in the recruiting process. You were having him kind of go through some offensive stuff. What do you remember about that meeting? And just what perspective do you have now on the accomplishment of him getting to Ohio State, getting through this season or getting through his career, but then also the season he's had?
He, I'd gotten hired a couple weeks, and I don't know the issue with why we were taking a line, whether I don't know if we lost someone or someone that left or but all of a sudden we want to take one more lineman. We're going back and forth, and Thayer as I think a junior, I think is why I remember seeing Thayer myself as a sophomore when I went and watched the practice when his head coach when he was at Massillon when they were over at LaSalle at the time down in Cincinnati. Matter of fact, our punter, Drew Christmas, was there, and he said, "Coach, I got a good punter." And Drew punter went across the field over the press box. I never forget that. It's like, geez, I've never seen a guy kick it over the press box. But Thayer, I remember Thayer's a young player, and Coach Meyer wanted me to go up to this meeting with Stud because I have a line background to give me my opinion. So we get down, we ask him like, "Hey, let me see you. Let's watch a little tape with you. Let's talk some ball. Tell what you know. Draw a play. His coach had him get in a stance and all. I looked at Stud. I go, what's wrong with this guy? And at the same time, because I just gotten here, I'm afraid, well, if I put my stamp on this guy, a thumbs up, and he's a flop, it's like, I don't know what I'm talking about. But the whole time, I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? This guy's going to be an elite player. I know he's a 3-star recruit, but I thought he had a great – I thought he was going to be awesome. So credit to him now. He's the guy that stayed healthy. He's the guy that's worked hard to stay in shape. He's the guy that's gotten stronger. So Thayer himself has made himself into a great player. But I remember that first meeting, there's some hemming and hawing by a lot of people. And should we? And I'm glad we had the meeting. It was very quick for me to think he had a chance. Doesn't mean he's going to make it. He's made it because Thayer and his family and everyone has backed him. We've had great support here. But I do remember that meeting specifically in the Massillon. There's a little basketball game they're having up at Massillon. I remember things specifically. Coach Meyer, me, and Coach Stud sitting there one day with him.
Great. Thank you very much, Coach. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you in